And this touches on the function of suffering in a spiritual sense that I think is vastly under discussed and underappreciated, even among people who share my beliefs. And we've touched on the purpose of suffering before, but if you look at the biblical understanding of why are we allowed to suffer, you can go to Romans chapter 5, verses 3 through 5, or James chapter 1. It basically says the same thing. And that you are listening to The Soapbox. I'm Paul.
And I'm Eric.
This all started out with a list. What's that all about?
So I've compiled a list over the years of things that just bother me, things that grind my gears. And I shared that list with you.
And I thought, you know what? That would make interesting conversation. Sometimes I'm going to want to agree with you, and it's just going to be something we talk about. Other times, though, I'm going to want to steel man the opposite position because I think that's just interesting conversation.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I'm always right, but Paul's just a really good debater.
Hey.
I'm just seeing how long we can go before it gets awkward.
As long as you need.
Yeah. All right, so little off script here a little bit. I've got some ideas. They're loosely tied together. I'm just going to hit you with some. We'll respond. We'll discuss.
I heard something about being loosely tied and hit.
Loosely tied.
Go ahead.
That's right. All right, so maybe just start with the kind of the fun one. We're both in transportation.
Yes.
And particularly safety. Stretched limos. They seem to like break all the rules, right?
How is that thing licensed and legal?
Well, I think that's kind of the point. One, you can't buy one.
No, they have to make them by cutting two cars up and then stitching them back together. Yeah.
Or at least cut one car, right? I mean, but yes, exactly right. You don't go to the limo dealership.
The limo lot.
And I guess we should make the distinction. We are talking about a stretched limousine, which is different than just like a really fancy car. Because once
upon a time it was a Lincoln Town car,
right?
And then they cut it in half and extended it,
right? And then now they've done it with like
I've seen
SUVs.
stretch Hummers.
Yeah. Do we have a stretched Cybertruck yet?
It's coming.
I don't think you can cut through the adamantium there to get. But so all right, yeah, we're making the distinction because once I was at TRB and I needed a taxi to get to the airport. It was pre Uber, and the bellhop or whoever the concierge at the hotel, he's like, "Hey, I got a limo driver there. It doesn't have any fares. He'll take you for a regular price." And it legitimately was just like a nice town car. It wasn't stretched. It was just a limousine, which, yeah.
Now, what's the distinction? Because is limousine a category of car or is that a make? I'm not in that income bracket. No. I don't know.
I don't know either. I do think, though, the big distinction for me is, one, the type of vehicle, stretched limousine we're talking about, as far as I understand, it's not accounted for in any roadway design guides. So like a roundabout or a horizontal curve, or, you're not taking into account
NHTSA is not doing crash tests with these things to see how vulnerable they are to a side impact.
Well, correct.
But also, how do you capture it in the safety data?
Right. I mean,
if I want to find this thing, somebody's got to put it in the narrative because it's not going to be its own category.
I mean, the VIN doesn't say anything about it being modified, I suppose. But then there's a whole nother layer to it, which is you can drink in the back of it.
Legally?
Can't you? Yeah, legally.
How? You can't drink as a passenger in a regular car.
Right, but I think there's something about the closure between the driver area and the back that maybe...
So if a taxi had a piece of
plexiglass
vinyl or plexiglass barrier,
I don't know.
You can sit in the back of your Camry.
I think what we're talking about is this unicorn of a vehicle that exists. Again, it doesn't go through crash testing. It's not.
Is unicorn the right word?
Well, unicorn,
we need something that's an anomaly, that's like an exception. but not desirable.
Not well. I mean, hey, you get to drink in the back of it. You don't have to pass a safety test. It sounds to me like it's desirable for the owner, I guess.
Desirable for the occupant, for sure.
And the occupant.
Yeah, I don't know. I also wonder about turning radius,
Yeah,
how you park that.
Yeah.
I think I know how you park that thing, because there is a stretch limousine that is regularly parked at a shopping center where Big Lots used to be off of Lane Allen.
Is Big Lots not there? Oh, it just closed.
It became a peddler's mall.
Oh, okay.
But you can sometimes see a guy in a stretch limousine, and it's clearly not the fanciest operation anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's past its heyday.
He attracts like the high school proms and the
I think that's like the busy season, and then maybe occasionally like an airport run.
bachelorette party.
But you often see the
party.
guy in there, so he's in there deadheading, waiting for
Yeah.
that fare. We ought to, just for funsies, look this guy up, see if we can find what the fare would be, and then
Record
do
an
a whole
episode on the
episode in the back of a limo.
I could do that. Maybe we can get dads to sponsor it. That
Oh, the sandwich shop.
right there by the.
Yeah. So, Dad,
You listening?
if you're listening, we're going to send it to you. You're local. You're my neighbor.
Yeah.
But if you want to provide us some free sandwiches and a limo ride, we'll give you a whole episode dedicated just to the sandwich shop.
Just to the beer cheese. Oh, tasty.
We are willing to sell out.
Oh yeah.
Actively searching to do so. We should say I'm going in completely cold. This
Yeah.
is why I started by just looking at you like,
Yeah. What are we doing?
I don't even know what we're talking about.
All right, that was just a little warm up, just to kind of get the. We used to do the cold opens. That's kind of like just to set the stage, get you ready. But here, let's get a little. Let's get a little real. All right, so I'm usually kind of the jokey guy about religion, but this one I kind of want to give a serious thought to. I don't believe in the power of prayer, but let's say, according to kind of your understanding of it, if someone prayed for cancer to get cancer themselves, would that be considered suicide?
So I think that fundamentally misunderstands the idea of prayer, right? I think the cultural understanding of prayer, the non-religious understanding of prayer is that it's rubbing the lamp and hoping that the genie gives you a wish.
Right.
Right? Is that because we've talked about prayer before in the context of sports and who prays for their team, and I've joked a little bit too. Oh well, maybe the team that has the most unrepentant sinners is the one that loses. But in actuality, if you're looking at the biblical understanding of prayer, Christ talks about how to pray, and one of the things that he talks about is praying not for your will to be done, but for God's will to be done. And so prayer is a practice of aligning ourselves, our minds, our expectations with God's sovereign will. And there's examples in Scripture of times where God does change his mind on things. But a praying Christian, I think, is praying more for their own sake than for the sake of God. And so, any outcomes that you're praying for that aren't of God's will, like, oh, I wish I had cancer or something like that, it's more like, okay, would the genie violate the rules if the violation of the rule was actually not for the intent of why the rule exists?
Yeah, kind of like a loophole.
You can't pray that somebody dies. Well, what if I don't want to die?
Yeah.
Or what if I want to put myself in a non-survivable situation that's not directly leading to death, but that will be an inevitable outcome?
Yeah, and so I guess I was thinking about it more in the context of not the person like following the rules and being a good Christian, but just someone who's just suicidal, helpless, wants out, in pain, and maybe literally down on hands and knees, and wants to get something to, I don't know, end his existence. So he's
Yeah. So this kind of takes me to a dark place, but I think this is a fair place to go, and I'm willing to discuss it on the podcast. I have at times in life experienced great suffering. I grew up in a situation that was tumultuous at times. I have been through divorce in the last year. There have been times where I've had really low lows. Mm-hmm. And I think if God answered my prayers according to what I wanted in the moment, I'd already be dead. Because I've hit those lows where I'm like, God, I'm not going to take my own life, but if you wanted to strike me dead, I would welcome just the easing of my suffering.
It cut this if it's too personal, but I remember at one point you were talking about just jaywalking and being like, man.
Yeah, no, there was certainly
the
like a
dice.
nihilistic phase of life where it was like, I'm not actively trying to kill myself, but I'm also not aggressively preventing it from happening anymore. So, you know what? Let's jaywalk. And if that bus isn't paying attention and they hit me, mitigates my suffering, which is, it's a dark place to be. That's a very dark place to be. Thank God I'm not there anymore. But I think a lot of people get there for some seasons in life. And this touches on the function of suffering in a spiritual sense that I think is vastly under discussed and underappreciated, even among people who share my beliefs. And we've touched on the purpose of suffering before, but if you look at the biblical understanding of why are we allowed to suffer, you can go to Romans chapter 5, verses 3 through 5, or James chapter 1. It basically says the same thing, and that is that suffering causes us to be reliant upon God because it's an acknowledgement that we are not in control of our circumstance. And because of that reliance upon God, we grow closer to him through his Holy Spirit, and in turn, we grow. We gain, through our perseverance, we gain a strength of character. And so it's sort of like when you let your children fall when they're learning to walk. You understand that skinned knee, that little bop on the head, that's all part of the process, but the ends justify the means. And so I think when it comes to praying for something when you are emotionally distraught, when things are at an all-time low, I would say the Christian understanding or the biblical understanding is, one, God's going to hear the prayers of somebody that's suffering through the lens through which they're prayed. Two, I don't think that God considers it blasphemous to approach him with your anger or with your suffering. The book of Job is a really popular Christian text for those that are suffering, because do you know the story of Job?
This isn't Arrested Development?
No, different Job.
Different one.
Different Job. So Job is a loyal follower of the Lord, and Satan actually comes to God and says, hey, he's only loyal because you blessed him. Let me attack him. And God says, all right. And he allows Satan to take his wife, take his children, take his job, take his land, take his animals, take his wealth, take his home.
Sounds like
Inflict him
AI.
with boils.
Sounds like what AI is doing.
That's right.
Sorry.
You didn't subscribe to AI Plus.
Right.
Boils. Dead cattle. And throughout all of this, like all of Job's friends and even his wife, before she's gone, they all say, oh, well, you must have done something wrong. Curse God for what you've done. And he doesn't. And so God ends up restoring Job even greater than he was prior to all the suffering. But in his suffering, and I think the thing that a lot of people miss is that he was angry with God. He accused God of having a nature that was less than holy or less than good. And he was still considered to be righteous in the eyes of the Lord because in his suffering, he chose to approach God in prayer. And so this idea of prayer is a connection between man and God for the purpose, not necessarily of changing the circumstance, but for the purpose of aligning us with God's will.
So I'm thinking maybe in the context of what we're talking about, if someone sits and prays to have some ailment, cancer,
because they want to die, like
because they want to die, then my thinking would be, God kicks back with a cancer that's curable, and then maybe suffers and then gets cured, and then is in a better place.
So the other gripe a lot of Christians have is that they have unanswered prayers, right?
Yeah.
And the atheist would say there's a data point that God doesn't exist because you didn't get an answer.
Right.
But the pastor's answer would be that God always answers prayer. It's just one of three answers. It's not now, no, or yes. Mm-hmm. And we only want the yes.
Right.
And we hate the not now because it's ambiguous and because, if we're looking at a finite timeline of our lifetime and the infinite nature of God, we're very impatient creatures.
Sure.
But I think to pray for cancer, I think if you're truly praying the way that that you're supposed to pray, going before the Lord and just laying it out there, then I think what ends up happening is he's not going to give you cancer in response to a prayer for cancer. You might get cancer anyway. But I think what you do end up doing is you have a time where you're trying to connect with God, and you're in that meditative sort of mindset of self-reflection and thinking about outcomes and thinking about God and what he is and his sovereignty and how he allows suffering. And it grows you towards that relationship that you have with God, so that ultimately whatever the outcome is, maybe it is cancer. Probably it's not going to be. Well, statistically,
yeah, I was going to say
maybe it could be.
So what happens in the case when, oh, shoot, I was going to give you cancer anyway. Then I'm going to have to not give you cancer, so you didn't think I answered your prayer, and then gets into a loophole.
Maybe, yeah. No, it does say in Scripture, like, not to test the Lord, right? So, I think that something like that, you have to consider the purity of the motivation, and then you're going to also have to consider, like, is this praying in accordance with God's will? Because if you occupied a completely different mindset and it wasn't the selfish nature of I want to just extinguish my suffering, but maybe it was like, Lord, I'm willing to lay my life down before you, and if a cancer diagnosis could further your kingdom and your will on this earth, then I would submit to that diagnosis and I would be faithful through the entirety of the suffering that will come with it. I could see that maybe if in some sense serving the greater good being answered in the affirmative.
Yeah, that's a different question, though. That's someone. Yeah. How about it? This wasn't actually on the list, but it's something. Well, not on this list, but something I've been thinking about a lot because I keep getting. I don't know why the algorithm keeps feeding me these cartoons of Genie wish situations, and
I love these.
Have you seen? Okay, good.
I love these.
I don't have any like locked and loaded, but
I'll give you one that I saw the other day. I just thought it was brutal.
Yeah.
And it was Genie was like, okay, you get 3 wishes.
Right.
It's like, all right, wish number 1. I wish that you weren't bound to your lamp anymore.
Right.
Wish number 2, I wish that you had legs. Wish number 3, I wish that you were paraplegic. And then he leaves. And it's like, wait, what did you do to me, you animal?
Now, was this a cartoon or was this?
It was. I can't remember if it was a comic strip or if it was animated. I've seen a bunch of them as well. This is a popular trope right now.
I don't know how it got into pop culture, but I'm kind of on board with it. It's pretty funny. There's a lot of course, growing up, I always heard the wish for unlimited wishes or whatever.
So if you followed the Aladdin rules, you can't wish for somebody to fall in love, you can't wish for somebody to die, and you can't wish for more wishes.
Right. Yeah. So then there's so many loopholes. Like write down on I wish anything I write down on this piece of paper comes true. That's one wish.
Yeah. I do think so. Genie, the word genie comes from the Middle Eastern word jinn. And jinn is a type of deceiver or demon. So it's the association of the jinn that grants a wish, but like the monkey paw, it's always going to be a trickster's wish.
Yeah.
I think that assumption needs to be baked into the logic.
Yeah.
Because you can't kill somebody, you can't make somebody fall in love with you, you can't wish for more wishes, and you have to anticipate that whatever you say is going to be perverted in such a way that it's only going to hurt you. It's not going to help you.
Yeah.
And how do you manipulate that system?
Right. And I've seen a bunch of interesting takes on that where people are like getting super elaborate and specific and
for my first wish, I wish that no matter what I wish, that you would have a complete understanding of exactly what I mean and only fulfill all future attempted wishes through that exact lens.
Right.
And so you lawyer your way through it.
And it's bizarre to me because we're talking magic here and we're talking about things, but I find the ones amusing that are like, I wish you would grant my third wish before the next 2 or something. They'll do like that, and then they'll wish this, and they end up.
And it ends up being like some sort of computer code loop,
right? Yeah.
Where it,
I
always
think
resets.
One of them was basically wishing the genie free of the lamp, and then trading places with them was like the last. Anyway, it's like you have these loopholes where they become a genie, but they're not in the lamp. And
I've always thought that's the best loophole right there. It's like, I can't wish for more wishes. Great. I'll give you my first 2 wishes, and my third wish, I wish for a brand new genie and a clean slate.
Yeah. And you just kind of.
And you just, infinite genies.
Right. Genies all the way down. Okay. That one was just kind of.
It's a fun one to think about.
It kind of comes out there.
There's a game I play with my kids, and it's, I forget what I call it, just Genie game or something stupid like that. But I'll say, okay, you come up with a wish, and then I'll come up with the downside.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they'd be like, I wish for $1 million. And I'm like, your wish is granted, but it's Confederate dollars, and it's not worth anything.
Or you just suffocated yourself in a pile.
Yeah, it's in pennies, and you're dead under the weight.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of a fun car game for kids that don't have devices and still want to talk to you.
All right, here's maybe it's a bit silly, but people who think they're lucky. So I'm
unlucky or lucky?
Lucky. People who think they are lucky, and I say it that way because I don't really believe there is such a thing as a lucky person.
Ooh, okay. I disagree.
Okay, there's a ... to this, but let's get into that first.
Yeah, so maybe I should hear the ... first, because if you are the person that doesn't believe in free will, then everything that is deterministic is luck. Your luck just happens to be whatever your circumstance was, how you were born.
Right.
I'm lucky in that I was born in America in this time with these social connections and this genetic makeup and
and the shot's coming.
Yeah. Lucky me, take a shot. But yeah, so like, wouldn't determinism ultimately be like a form of luck?
Well, I think in that case, we're really just talking about one thing. The one time you're born, we're both lucky that we were born in a time where Tool existed, right? I mean, that just, but
to add the sound.
But that is I guess to me, that isn't something that you would experience. Like I'm saying, lucky in the sense that things happen to you routinely, kind of going through your life, and you just feel like you tend to win the lottery more, and you tend to do this, and I think what you're arguing, I would agree with, that deterministically there are people that have it better than other people, but I wouldn't call that luck as much as they were.
You're looking for a word that means luck, but isn't luck.
Yeah, I'm looking, but again, I'm looking for a word that means one instance of luck. That's it. You get this. That's the hand you're dealt, and that's it. You don't get another hand. You don't get another chance to get lucky again. It's happened one time. You were born in this. That's it, and then everything else is deterministic. So there's not a shuffling or rolling of the dice later, right? You're not.
I think. So your understanding of deterministic is very, very macroscopic. It's single point of origin, and everything else is a consequence of that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of other people like to think about the world after that single point of origin, and their single point of origin is birth, and so they want to think about their existence as everything that they think about, every decision that they make will have its own tangent, its own branch of potential.
Right.
Well,
that's not determinism.
You reduce it back to that single point of determinism, but even now there's like challenges to the idea of the Big Bang, and this idea of like the single point origin.
Sure.
So I don't know. I'm still hung up on this notion that I do think there is a governed free will within deterministic starting circumstance. But that, you've solved that one with the presence of the soul, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Luck, to me, a lucky person is that person that opportunity seems to happen for them more frequently than what matches work ethic or the number of times that they've tried. And conversely, you might look at somebody that's unlucky, where every time something good happens, it's taken away from them. Circumstances beyond their control. And maybe I think we're describing the same thing. It's just it's an attribution error of whether that person is in fact lucky, or whether their existence with this predetermined, non-free will pathway of the atoms that they happen to be is just, this is the course, and the luck existed at that moment of inception.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. It's like you have a movie you can play and watch how it unfolds, and at any point you can pause the movie and say, I bet this is going to happen next, and you already know what's going to happen. It's
but that's circular logic, because your metaphor is sort of contingent on the conclusion. What if in the future movies are AI generated and everybody's narrative is different based upon how they're feeling that day?
Well, I think I would argue too that the feeling of luck that the point I'm trying to make is it's a perception that people have. They're not actually taking data points.
Yeah, that I agree.
Yeah.
That touches on, I hope my daughter listens to this one, because that touches deeply on something we've been talking a lot about in my household lately. And that is that, and we weren't framing this as luck, we were framing this as happiness in life.
Okay.
Your happiness is about 5% what happens to you, and 95% how you react to what happens to you. I have met people who have had terminal diagnosis, and they are optimistic and joyful.
Yeah.
I have met people who have had the silver spoon in their mouth since day one. They've got every material thing anybody could ask for or chase, and they are absolutely bloody miserable.
Yeah.
I heard a story, and you've probably heard me tell a story of the king with the two sons. One was an optimist and one was a pessimist.
Maybe. Yeah.
And he wanted to test just how strongly they exude those characteristics. And so for the one son, who was the optimist, he brought him to a room. He said, son, I got you a present. And in the room, it was piled up 6 feet tall of horse crap.
It's fertilizer. Okay.
And
make some money on it.
he let the boy loose.
Okay.
And the second son, the pessimist, he brought him into a room, and inside the room was a pony. And he left him. And an hour later, he came back. And first he went to the pessimist. And he said, all right, son, are you enjoying your pony? And the boy said, well, ponies they're big creatures, and I've heard stories of people that fall off and break their neck and they can never walk again, and sometimes they bite, and I didn't want to be kicked, so I just largely just stood by the door, and I didn't want to interact with it. I said, okay. And then he went to the optimist's room, take a shot.
Yeah.
And couldn't find the kid. And after looking around for a few seconds, up pops the kid's head from the horse manure, and he's just smiling ear to ear. He's got it in his teeth. He's got it in his hair. It's coming out of his ears. He said, son, that's horse crap. What are you doing? He said, well, with all this horse crap in here, somewhere there's got to be a pony. So,
Yeah.
here's one kid who's got everything that you could want, and here's the other kid searching for it, and they've got vastly different experiences and attitudes despite their circumstance.
Yeah.
And that's life. Life is, how do we respond to the thing that happens to us?
Yeah.
And we control for very little. And you would say we control for none of it.
Sure.
And I would say we have just the smallest modicum of influence over the things that happen to us. But that response is whether we are a happy person or not.
I thought your ratio was 5 to 95, though. The smallest modicum.
You can adjust that for whatever p-value you'd like to arbitrarily select.
I mean, 95 doesn't sound like a small amount. So it sounds to me like you're arguing that how you react to something has a much greater influence on.
Well, if you go with the 95-5 ratio,
Yeah.
you have to show up to work. You have to have a good attitude.
Yeah.
You've got to have a work ethic. You've got to be willing to study. You've got to be willing to make sacrifices. You have to live today in such a way where you're setting your future self up for success. Certainly, I think there's probably more than just a modicum.
Yeah.
But even if all you had was that modicum,
Yeah.
I think that's still
So
impactful.
that sounds very similar to what I've heard about raising kids. If you raise kids in a safe, healthy, you feed them, you don't abuse them, you don't neglect them. You give them access to books and education and all that. That if you do all of that as a baseline, then your influence on them as being successful adults is pretty much zero. I mean, again, provided you start at that nice baseline. I mean, if you're abusing your kids or neglecting them or that, yes, you can influence
You
them.
can sabotage it.
Yes,
yeah.
but if you put them up, I I remember this is backed by by data, but it is a little refreshing in a sense to think, okay, do right by our kids, and you don't have to be terrified that you screwed up every night you put them to bed. And just
I will say to counterpoint on that one, this was something the pastor at our church brought up this past Sunday, but if you're looking at socioeconomics, so sort of what is that baseline, and then you look at participation in church, a family that has a low socioeconomic status, a low earning family, has the same baseline as a higher earning family when it comes to positive outcomes for children and mental health, despite the disparity in economics. And but it's suggested, of course, a lot of Christians say, well, that's God. You got to, maybe it is. I'm not here to make an attribution. But I think the point he was driving was the church may be, in some instances, the last institution where children are regularly surrounded with adults who are not family members who are stable. Mm-hmm. And so it surrounds them with people who have different opinions and different ideas, but they know their name and they're investing in them. And they should, in a healthy community, actually care about these young people and help guide them as a trusted other adult voice that's not a parent.
I imagine the that bell curve of socioeconomics kind of falls apart, though, when you talk about either of the extremes, like extreme poverty or extreme wealth. I think maybe those would be the exceptions to it, because
I'll find the study. Yeah. I don't have it off the top of my head, but that's what you get for going in cold, right?
Yeah. Well, again, I'm just speculating. It wouldn't surprise me that you're not going to see the same things with a impoverished family. Okay. Well, so rephrasing with the ... Do you suppose that people that think they're lucky, whether they are lucky or they aren't lucky, but they feel like they are?
Okay.
If they were asked a question, would they say, "Are you a lucky person or not?" They would say yes. Are they more likely to be religious because they think somebody's kind of rooting for them? This kind of gets to George.
You're hinting at the faith gene, right?
Yeah. The belief and belief gene that George likes to call it.
Yeah. I don't know, because I think you're going to get among religious people a distribution of folks that are religious because they are desperate. You've got folks that are religious because they need the help in a sober community. You've got folks that are religious because they are prone to religiosity. You've got folks that are religious because it's a family tradition. I think you've got a lot of different motivating factors that may or may not overlap with a sense of luck or being blessed. But I've known plenty of religious people that also feel incredibly persecuted and wonder why God hasn't blessed their lives more. Mm-hmm. And even in Scripture, there's a biblical precedent for God giving an unequal distribution of talents. So there's the story of the talents that Christ tells, where he says, to some, a lot will be given, but a lot will be expected. And his talents are given of his own accord, not for us to judge. So I don't know. I don't think there's a correlation there. I would say if you think you're a lucky person, you can sort of manifest that to reality, not in any kind of like spiritual sense, but you find what you're looking for in life a lot of times. If you're looking for blue cars, you're going to start to see blue cars everywhere.
Yeah.
My son Nathan, one of his favorite things to do is go to Kroger with me, and then he brings this little, what's the sport where they catch the ball in the stick?
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse. Yeah, I couldn't think of lacrosse for some reason because it's not as good as hockey. But he's got this little lacrosse thing that he brings into Kroger with him, and he'll shop with me, and he'll just be like well behaved because he's waiting for his moment. And as soon as I go to check out, he runs for the Coinstar machine. He gets down on hands and knees, and he's got that lacrosse net sweeping under the machine, pulling up all the coins that people have dropped as they're using the Coinstar machine. And he sees himself as lucky, not because he's picking up money, but because I've shown him what a silver dime looks like compared to another dime. It's like any dime made before 1965. and now he's on the hunt, and he's found 3 of them. And a silver dime is worth anywhere from like $3 in melt to about $8. So every time he finds one of these things, he's like, "That's an $8 bill right there. I'm lucky." And now he's looking for it.
Yeah.
My other 2 kids, they're not lucky, but they aren't constantly on the lookout for that treasure. So I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, that perspective.
Yeah, I think it does map on optimism and pessimism. So
It would be interesting to see what Christians' viewpoints are, because then you're also going to have something that sort of interferes with that perspective, where they're going to say it's not luck, I'm blessed, right?
Right, sure.
And so now I don't perceive myself as lucky, I perceive myself as blessed.
Which kind of gets back to determinism. That's maybe that's probably a better way to put what I was trying to say. You're not lucky if you were born into this great timeline and good socioeconomics. You're blessed. You're
God's favored one. Or
well, I'm searching for a word that doesn't mean you get this the rest of your life. It's just like, when you're creating a character and you're filling out your stats on a game, if you had
you roll a high
right
stat or a low stat.
You're right. I mean, the people that are on average have higher stats than others. You can use the word luck, but it doesn't really portray what I'm talking about, which is,
There's another interesting Christian perspective that I think further pollutes the waters on this, and that's the idea that you're actually maybe more blessed when you're less blessed. And that's because folks that have material wealth, health, well-being, and safety are less reliant on God,
right,
and less likely to have relationship with God. Our church sponsors some orphanages in Nepal. There's like 120 kids that get to go to school because of just monthly gifts that the individual members and then the church is giving. And these kids have nothing. Like before they were getting sponsorship, they didn't have shoes. They slept on the floor. There were problems where snakes were crawling in where the kids were sleeping. They didn't have clean water. They would go to landfills and dig through landfills to try to find food. They were called the rat catchers because they would catch rats to eat the meat. And they sent some mission trips over there, and they built them an orphanage, and they got them some clean clothes, and they got them beds to get them up off the floor, to get them away from the snakes. But largely, if you compared their lifestyle now, even with those amenities, it's very minimalistic.
Sure.
It leaves a lot to be desired. And these kids walk around like they're the happiest on planet Earth. And they would say that they're blessed. And a lot of American Christians would say, wow, I have had this experience where I've had this mission trip and I've gone overseas and I've talked to these kids, and it's challenged my perspective because I'm not as close to God and I don't have as much joy as somebody who has so much materially less than I do. So I don't know. I think when you want to talk about luck, what's the value statement of what's considered lucky? Maybe we're not as lucky as we think we are.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to end us with one that might get a little political. Oh, maybe. I don't know.
We getting canceled again on the Google ads?
We can get into like some ethics and morality. But in general, and I suspect we're both going to agree on this, I think this one...
Disagree. No.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well,
turn it off.
This one, well, I'll just see how it goes. I've got kind of 3 examples of what I would call just really distasteful competition, distasteful ethics. One being the Instagram page, and I don't know its hashtag or whatever, and I don't even want to give it the light of day, but I'm sure anyone could find it.
Hashtag SoapBox Lex.
SoapBox Lex.
Those guys.
Oh, man.
They don't like teachers or anybody.
Right.
I had one guy, by the way.
Yes.
On that episode. I finally got my hate.
Yeah.
So to that troll with 12 followers on Facebook that wanted to call me out for a 15-second reel without looking at the long-form video.
Yeah.
Love you, buddy.
Yeah. Was it William? Something.
I don't know.
Anyway, so there's an Instagram page of a rock. And the sole purpose of this page is to get more likes, subscribe, whatever you call it, right? Likes. To get more likes than some pride page.
And so it's like just a picture of a rock.
It's a picture of a rock, and it's some.
Is it one of those where it's like we're going to post the same picture of a rock every day, and it's the same picture posted dozens and dozens of times, or it's just one page with a rock?
I think it's just one page with a rock. And again, I'm talking about the spirit of what's going on here. I don't actually care to go to the page. I don't want to know what the like count is, and I don't want to compare it to the hateful idea that they're trying to. So basically, what they're doing is they're trolling in a way, but they're trying to say, I bet this rock can get more likes than the pride page over here, and it's like, just yuck. It doesn't sit with me as a one. I don't know what you're winning, right?
Yeah,
and it's just all you're trying to.
What's a popularity contest, right?
Yeah.
So what people are doing is saying, look, our coalition is still the majority, and even though other people want to posit that this pride movement is the default moral position, there's a lot of us that are quiet about it, but we would be willing to, follow this rock as a demonstration of solidarity amongst this quiet majority.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're giving it way too much grace.
Maybe it's not a very good rock. I don't know.
I don't know. And maybe this is just my reaction to it. My reaction to it is I just see hate. I don't see solidarity.
Let's unpack that for a moment, because I think anytime somebody takes a position against pride, it's immediately assumed that it's coming from a place of hate, right? And part of that's by design, right? If you disagree with my actions, if you don't condone my choices, you hate me.
Right.
And that is patently false. I have tons of friends who are gay, and I also have a deeply held religious belief that homosexuality is a sin. And if I say what you're doing is sinful, I'm not saying I hate you or even that you're necessarily a bad person. I'm saying, like, I'd like for you to have a godly standard in your life, and I love you enough that I'm willing to approach you about a specific behavior. But the pride movement in particular has so deeply confused a choice that somebody makes, an action that they have, a natural proclivity or tendency that they have, a temptation, however you want to phrase it, as synonymous with their identity, that it can't be decoupled. And because they're unwilling to decouple what I do from who I am, if you judge what I do, you have judged who I am. And that's not where their opposition is coming from. And because they fundamentally won't recognize it or can't see it, they're now judging somebody else based upon their viewpoint. And how do you judge somebody else's viewpoint based upon your own when you're lacking the nuance of their viewpoint?
Yeah, all of that can work in a conversation, but saying this rock is going to get more likes than this page doesn't have any of that nuance. It's
So understanding that nuance, I think the rock page is a stupid idea.
Yeah.
And I think it's inflammatory unnecessarily, because if I wanted to convey to you that I disagree with you in love, I don't think the best way to approach that is to say, look, this rock's got more attention than you do.
Yeah.
I think at that point,
Yeah.
let's not post stones in glass houses. Hey?
Oh, that was pretty good.
But,
So I think you and I kind of are looking at it the same way now, where it really is just, it's petty, it's trolly. There are better ways to, I think you articulated a much better way of viewing that. The only exception I would have is with my view on free will. I think that whole thing falls apart because nobody's choosing to do this. That is just who they are. And again, it comes back to luck, right? To this idea where, but okay. Looks like we're on borrowed time here. There are two other ones like this, I think, maybe somewhat like this. And one of them I got to see firsthand once, which was just an awful situation. But what about someone who is going to go out and vote just to cancel your vote?
let me do something real quick.
Yeah. Are we not plugged in? Oh.
Mood lighting. That's also what powers my laptop.
That's
why we were on borrowed time.
That's right.
So just listen to this one. Don't watch it. The lighting's not that good.
That's great. But yeah, what do you think of the idea of someone who claims, and this, you're going to have to trust them on this because You'd have to encounter someone that wasn't going to go out and vote otherwise, but since they know you're going to vote, they're going to go out just to cancel your vote.
Okay, so I've held this position as a younger man, and in a way worse way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so maybe this was just a justification to be a fatty, but I actually, for just a moment in college, I was like, you know what? Every time I order a hamburger, I'm going to get a double, just so I can negate the purpose of one vegetarian's crusade in life. Eat meat, is that on it?
That's the next one.
So I did that. Again, mostly because I had that metabolism that could handle such choices.
Sure.
And I don't know. It's not the hill I want to die on. If you want to eat tree bark or whatever, you do you.
Hey,
it doesn't affect me. Just don't tell me not to eat meat.
Yeah. Well, and I have an interesting view on vegetarianism. Vegan is really tough because I think there's some strange sacrifice like honey and milk and
steak,
even eggs. Well,
bacon.
I mean,
all the good things in life. Vegan, you can't drink milk, right? You can't have any milk products,
right? And honey is one on there. Cheese. I mean,
cheese and milk would DQ me straight away. It's like a daily.
But I will say, and I don't want to get a soapbox here, but I will say the idea of cutting down on eating meat, I think it's great for the planet. It's great for the person, cholesterol, all the rest of it. And some of these plant-based meats are getting really, really close. They haven't got a steak yet. Trust me.
Yeah.
I had steak this weekend, and that one's probably going to be the last one to get perfected. But one thing I will say is I like the idea of just cutting back. I think a lot of people say if you just don't eat meat 1 day a week or 2 days a week, it makes a pretty big impact.
Meat prices are going to do that for us.
Right there, yeah.
I'm eating less beef because I don't want to pay $8 a pound for ground beef, $20 a pound for steak. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the eating meat one, the canceling out the vote.
The canceling out the vote one is interesting to me because that assumes that everybody thinks that we are a democracy and that we're not actually a democratic republic. We don't live in a state where our vote really matters.
No.
Kentucky is this weird anomaly where we tend to vote Democrats in local elections and Republicans in national elections. And if we were a swing state, maybe I could see that being more important. But I'm not canceling anything out. Not really.
Yeah. Well, and I guess maybe more the spirit of what I'm talking about is threatening someone with that or just the whole, just the ew of, because we had a roommate in college and he literally played that card. I think he was going to vote anyway, which makes his argument null and void.
Yeah.
But he made the case like, oh, you're going to go vote for liberal? I guess I'll go out and vote and just cancel yours. Just come. I mean,
I would like to propose a third option here.
Okay.
And that option would be if you're the type of person that's going to throw away your vote or you weren't going to vote anyway, just go vote third party. And do so not because you care about what the third party candidate
just help us get to a.
If they get to a certain number of votes, then they can actually receive funding for a more proper campaign. They can participate in the debates, and we might lay a foundation for a viable third option. Yeah. Because this last election cycle, I didn't like any of them. Yeah. And I felt like I did vote, but I felt like my vote was for a lesser of evils and not for a good. Yeah. And that's a terrible position to be in. Yeah,
I would have happily voted none of the above, like in Brewster's Millions.
There you go.
Richard Pryor.
Can't go too deep into that one without getting us canceled.
Yeah, fair.
All right. Well, anyway, we're running up the clock, so
there's one we didn't do on my list, but I think that'll be its own episode one day. So you
want to foreshadow what it's going to be?
Okay. Yeah. Maybe this can be just like a little teaser. But there's a lot of controversy around anti-vax world.
Cut. All right. So next time on the Soapbox, we've got a brand new website. What is that site?
That is SoapBoxLex.com.
So you can check us out on the web. You can also check us out on your favorite streaming platforms, including...
we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, and we're on Amazon. And of course,
if you want to check us out and actually see what you're listening to, we do have video as well on YouTube. And I don't know if you knew this, but Spotify does video too.